Today on the Topic Show, Russia makes its first ceasefire proposal while the Biden and Ukrainian government signed a 10-year partnership for us to fund the military. Bump stocks are now legal thanks to the Supreme Court. Sandy Hook families want to take Alex Jones' social media accounts after taking $1 billion from him already. Nissan GTR to be discontinued, while Jeep plans a $25,000 EV. Tesla Optimus could drive the company up to a $25 trillion evaluation, according to Elon. Boston Pride gives kids plush penis toys. California counsel takes down a U-turn signal, claiming it is homophobic. And Tyson Foods CFO is arrested for a DWI. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, we have some sad news. A Nissan GTR officially to be discontinued. Godzilla, it appears, will be no more. Perhaps retreating to maybe a little warehouse in Japan where the last run will be stored for years with hopes of someday being more appreciated. Because lately, not many people are buying them, which is one of the reasons they are getting rid of them. Or, more accurately, not producing them anymore. This is first brought to our attention thanks to The Drive, specifically Andrew Collins, specifically the writer on this article. They note that, quote, last call, Nissan GTR production finally ends this year. After 17 years, Nissan's giant killing flagship is flying off toward the skyline at least. Which, I do appreciate it. If you're just listening and not visually looking at the episode today, the picture they use is the latest GTR, which I kind of do appreciate that iconic blue. Granted, I'm not enough of a Nissan enthusiast to know the specific actual vernacular name that they give it, which is probably something really cool and fancy. And it is sad to see this. They say that the R35 Nissan GTR flew past everyone's minds when it hit the streets in America in 2007. Those flash factor cooled off over the model's epic 17-year run. Still have a car, but we finally start wondering how much longer it'll be built because Nissan's just confirmed end production October 2024, which quite sad. Not too surprising. They know that it has a low volume 17-year, 6-figure sports car, not really selling too well these days, and especially the GTR, they have a lot of trim levels, and it's just getting more and more expensive throughout the years. While, again, I know there's hopefully be some diehard enthusiasts to get some more contrarian statements in the comments, but to me, it never really got that much more powerful throughout the years, or more impressive or better handling throughout the years, even though aesthetically it got a little bit more angular, a little bit better. Now, another issue is the base price. The base price for the 2024, or I guess the base premium, or they call it the premium, which is their base, ironic, well, marketing. They said it list for $121,090 plus fees. And then the top dog, the Nismo, which is their top line performance, very similar to how Chevrolet has the SS trim levels. Well, Chevrolet used to when they had performance cars. Digress. Now, they say that goes for $220,000 for the Nismo GTR, which, if you have basically $250,000, I don't know many people are choosing a Nissan, especially the GTR. When you get to that price point, other solutions start to become much more attractive. I mean, a lot of people are going to go with the high-end Porsche, Lamborghini, and here's got more interior pictures of showing it off. And I know what the comments might say, but I have to say it. In 17 years, Nissan, you couldn't make it in a stick shift? Really? Now, I know that probably would not boost sales more than even maybe 3%. But just for the enthusiast, just to really, and I know, I made this comment on Facebook, and everyone's saying, oh, if you want stick shift, you have to go with the Nissan 400, which, again, that's a whole different type of vehicle. This is a whole different category. This, I mean, historically speaking, I have a couple friends who have vintage GTRs. They love them. Of course, they have stick shift, as all cars should have by default. But I'm not sure how much the research development and the manufacturing of a manual transmission really would realistically cost Nissan. But I can't but think they really should have done that, especially for the final year. I mean, there are people who would pay a premium for that type of solution. Another issue is Nissan's shifting away all of their investments, so they're going to be going full on the EVs for the 18 or 19 people who want a Nissan EV, which, let's be honest, EV is a very competitive category, and Nissan's probably best known for the Nissan Leaf, which, give them credit, one of the first major manufactured EVs out there at the lowest price point. But in terms of, I mean, nowadays you're not going to beat China on price point. BYD's growing like a weed, and I don't think Nissan could realistically compete with them. And it's sad to see this iconic vehicle going away. I was never a huge fan because obviously, I mean, every car I've ever owned will always have a manual transmission. Best experience bar none for me. But yeah, it was appreciated. The GTR is a cool vehicle. Had, of course, you see them on the track days, you have a lot of horsepower. You can build them up as much as you want. And there's a reason that everyone called it Godzilla. It was amazing. And yet, their sales faded so much. I think it was actually only going for just like, I think the average was almost down to one a day, which again, that unless it's a very boutique item with really hefty profit margins, that's really hard to actually maintain that vehicle as part of a lineup. So Nissan is now down just to one performance car, an enthusiast car with the Ep.400Z, which again, that does come with manual transmission. I'll give them credit for that. That's a rare thing these days. And it is sad to see this, what was an icon, coming back. Now, given the way the government regulations are coming down and all the EPA and all the things trying to destroy enthusiasm, in my opinion. Well, with all that, and the automotive community not pushing back enough against those regulations and stipulations and all that kind of stuff, it's going to become the odds of them actually coming out with another performance car from Nissan, like a high-end, high horsepower vehicle. I won't say it's zero, but let's just say it's probably 0.00003,825%. Some might argue you don't need that many zeros in front of the decimal point, but just to prove a point, why not? So it'll be sad to see Nissan, the GTR, going away. Have you ever seen one out in the wild? Did you like it? And if you were to buy one, would you, let me know. Am I the only one who wants manual transmission these days? I can't be the only one. I mean, statistically speaking, in the United States, I'm part of the like 1.8% of car sales that are new with the 6 every year. So definitely not mass market. But let me know in the comments. As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Jeep launching an electric Renegade for under $25,000 for all 19 people who want it. Because, again, it's just a bastardized Fiat with extra body panels. Because, well, Jeep is owned by Stellantis, which is the conglomerate around most of the brands. Well, they bought out Chrysler, which also owned Dodge and Jeep, and pretty much all the brands in Europe you've kind of heard of. Now, this is brought to us thanks to a website called Electrek, which, good marketing, know exactly what they're all about. And Peter Johnson's the writer over there. They say, quote, Jeep is planning on launching a electric Renegade for under $25,000. Now, if you're just looking or you're not just tuning into the show, you're not seeing this monstrosity of a vehicle. It is, yeah, a bastardized looking Fiat with a couple extra pieces of plastic thrown on there. And, I mean, not to be cliche, but when I think Jeep, I think of Jeep Wranglers, I think of, off-roading. I know they have these other vehicles in their portfolio, and that's a pretty good price point in terms of it's getting down there, get much more competitive with the other brands. I'm not sure how many people want this. Now, they say that a Jeep Renegade EV will also join the all-electric Jeep vehicles, the Wagoneer S and the Wagoneer-inspired Recon, which will also be coming up as well. Now, they know that Jeep sales fell 6% to 642,924 in the U.S. last year, after slipping 12% in 2022, coming in at 684,614 units, another 2% in 2021, 778,711 units. So their sales are precipitously going down more and more. Now, granted, that's the whole Jeep portfolio. It's not just the Jeep Wrangler, which to me that's the only Jeep there is, but that's everything that has a Jeep badge plastered on there. Or if they're going above bound, they might use something like 3M tape. That's pretty fancy. Now, they say that, quote, the brands we are, this is from Jeep's leadership, and I don't think they do stand-up comedy. They might, and I don't judge. If they do, that's cool. I have a side hobby. Now, they say, quote, the brands we are targeting are mainly Tesla, but there are many others. And the leader said. And they also unveiled a Wagoneer S electric luxury SUV 2 weeks ago, up to 300 miles. So Jeep, which again is Stellantis, they think they could take on a Tesla, which, again, I'm not an EV enthusiast. I would never own a Tesla, although I appreciate the engineering, because granted, Teslas only have two pedals and no, gas engine. So to me, I've never bought, but I appreciate what they've done, and Tesla has done the damn near impossible. They were one of the first companies to actually make a profit on EVs, and now their manufacturing is second to none in terms of a global scale and large scale production with the gigapresses is quite impressive. Can Stellantis realistically compete with them? And no, I don't think so. Not right now. They could take market share away, I think, from General Motors and Ford, which are also going to EVs. Moderately successful. Ford lost $136,000 per EV Q1. GM, they might get there. They all plan to get to profitability by the end of this year. That's the ballpark level that we're shooting for, which could happen. The losses are lessening, or rather, the losses are becoming less negative as time goes on. Now, they say that the brand will continue to have mid-size UV segment in North America while re-entering the small UV market globally. Jeep will expand its lineup from 10 to 13 over the next 3 years. By 2027, Jeep plans to have 6 all-electric vehicles. Right. Looks like they have a picture of their EV Recon, which I like fun colors. That looks like a kind of like a neon yellow or something like that. Which, that's the Jeep Recon electric SUV, which is very good for off-roading. As you know, when you go in the middle of nowhere in the desert, very opportune to have main charging stations. Ha! That's a joke because, this kind of the whole point of Jeep is to go off-roading where there's no civilization. You just have a couple of gas cans on the back. But I partially digress. I mean, if they can get, again, $25,000 is a pretty aggressive price point. I don't know. To be, though, no, I would never buy it, obviously, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of acceptance they see from the market. Do a lot of people go out and buy them just thinking, this could be the next thing since sliced bread? Probably not. But let me know in the comments. As always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Tesla Optimus could potentially drive the company up to a $25 trillion valuation, claims Elon, which, again, not financial advice. Jeez Louise, that would be a great ROI if you're an investor, though. Well, I always say, without insider trading, it's just glorified gambling, which is why I always recommend just learning a new trade or skill set and starting a business. Statistically speaking, the odds are high that you'll fail, but it's a rush, and at least you'll learn something on the day. But I partially digress. This is brought to us thanks to Robert Hart over at Forbes, in which they say, quote, Elon Musk says Tesla's Optimus robot could drive the company up to a $25 trillion valuation. Here's what the experts think. Which, that would be astronomical. Now, of course, Elon Musk said last Thursday, confirmed that Tesla could start selling its humanoid Optimus robot by the end of next year, and predicted it could drive the automaker up to a $25 trillion valuation. Another ambitious claim from the billionaire. Experts say it might be just in the realm of possibilities. Now, they say that Optimus is still being developed, will move into production next year, and the company will have as many as a few thousand workers or units working in the factories. Now, that's what Elon said during the Tesla shareholder meeting last week in Texas. Now, that would be astronomical. Could that be about 40-fold, 40x on the current market valuation? I'm going to see if there's actually a picture of the humanoid robots. Which, they don't? That's an epic fail, Forbes. They have a picture of Elon, so I guess it's better than nothing. But that'd be impressive. There are already a couple companies kind of toying with the technology at the moment. Mercedes has a few instances where, I forget the name of the actual company, but they are headquartered out of I was about to say the great country, some might say the great state of Texas. And they do have some humanoid robotics working in one of their factories or their assembly plants right now. And that is one of the highest costs of production when you're making a vehicle. And it is also one of the things where the human error is all too persistent. Because, again, humans make mistakes, usually a lot more than computers. And, again, that would also help you be able to run these factories 24/7, make it even easier, more profitable. And you wouldn't have to worry about all of them going on strike and taking your money and giving it to the Democrats, which, historically speaking, was the UAW does. And one of the reasons why the big three, known as Ford, General Motors, and, used to be Chrysler, now Stellantis, are so not really competitive at all, compared to their counterparts such as Honda and Toyota, which are not unionized or not represented by the UAW, which means their labor is much more cheaper and much more efficient, and they have incentives to actually make reliable products. Where, again, on average, union members are mostly just rewarded by tenure and sometimes completing the job and sometimes putting the seats in. Sometimes. That's kind of a joke because was it Q3 or Q4 last year? Ford had made deliveries where the seats were wrong and the headlights were mismatched on deliveries of their expensive trucks, which, yeah, great job, UAW. But I partially digress. This would be revolutionary because everyone, again, assembly is one of the most expensive things about the automotive whole process. And if you could have that, I mean, that would be perhaps the most revolutionary thing in manufacturing in the past 100 years. I mean, these gigapresses are already astronomically impressive how they were just literally press out these giant vehicles at a fraction of the cost of traditional manufacturing. What are the odds they actually get this going? Because again, one of the biggest issues is this, well, just like the cliche issue with the Iron Man suit, is energy, which again, many of these robotics are tethered, so not to be kind of just rudimentary, you have an extension cord plugged into it. It's faster than that, but how could you actually get enough energy compacted into those robots where they can actually go around the whole factory and move parts and assemble vehicles? That'd be interesting. And then I wonder how many people, and let me know in the comments, how many people would care if their car was assembled by a humanoid robot? I mean, most vehicles already have lots of robotics in terms of they have the automatic, I mean, one of the most popular things to automate in automobile manufacturing is the welding processes. I mean, you look at most of these videos of the automotive process, those robotic welders, again, because it's a robot, can do it infinitely better than a human at a fraction of the cost. And pretty much every automotive company has that already. And compared to the humanoid robotics, granted, it's much more rudimentary. It's basically glorified big arm, like a not too dissimilar from the little crane game you played as a kid, trying to get the prizes that never actually worked. Though these don't, the claws don't, break magically when it touches anything. These robotics actually do work. But I mean, a lot of people argue, well, you're taking away jobs from Americans or Mexicans, where many of the vehicles are actually made, or Canadians for the couple of vehicles that are made up there. So let me in the comments, do you think people will ever, I mean, do you think they'll really care? I mean, in the United States, there used to be one of the biggest cultural trends was made in America, which I'm part of the fair few people who still care about that. Well, I also make a lot of my own stuff with all the components on this table, for example. Everything here is made in the USA. Settled by Cuban. Granted, I was born here, but never legally. I should put out that. But nevertheless, let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Culture Pride podcast, you have Boston Pride giving kids peanut plush toys. Really? Is this reality, or are we in the simulation? But let's go and dive in. So this is brought to us thanks to Libs at TikTok, in which she says, quote, Boston Pride is selling, I don't know why they censor it. I guess maybe she's worried about not showing in the algorithm or something magical like that. But I should have made this more family friendly, or in retrospect, I should say Boston is selling male body part plush to little kids. And then she quotes someone saying, Pride is just an innocent family friendly celebrations of love. And this was reposted thanks to Jack, who says, quote, took the family downtown to walk, accidentally immersed to the Boston Pride. Both the male private parts and the ice cream were overpriced. And you have a kid, again, I'm not great with ages, they appropriately blurred their faces. I want to say the kid is probably maybe 6 years old, give or take. One of them is wearing Crocs. I'm pretty sure that's child abuse as well. But yeah, one of them has a big old thing, and it's got pretty well got 1 million views on Lib's TikTok and 18,000 likes. Which, again, I think in the United States, the controversy of the LGBT community in terms of lifestyle, I don't think that's, there are maybe, like, if I were to guess, like a ballpark, maybe 1 or 2% of Americans who are just fervently against that in terms of that lifestyle in the bedroom. The big point of controversy that we keep seeing is when you have children involved. And when you have these parades where there are people, adults, who are naked in front of children on public streets. I think that's really a big point of controversy when it comes to this cultural issue. And that's why we're seeing more and more pushback against these type of public displays and public events. Now, one of the first comments comes from Paul Zupa saying, Boston Pride needs to be indicted, getting 448 likes. Tom World says sickening, getting 626 likes. The Texas one, which A+ marking, that's a good name, says leave the children alone. If you are a police officer letting this happen, turn in your badge, getting 63 likes, which is quite horrifying when some of these police officers actually protect these quote-unquote child-friendly drag shows, which there's no such thing, and many of them have partially and fully naked performers on stage in front of the kids, which, again, a good rule of thumb is if it's illegal to do it in a public park, probably doesn't make sense for it to be legal just because it's in a building. It should always be illegal in front of kids. But nevertheless, you have Mama Maga saying this is not okay. And you have a gentleman with a full I don't know if that's from the 40s? When people stopped wearing raincoats? But nevertheless, it's a classic the pervert where you have the gentleman naked but he's wearing the raincoat. And the first one is him doing it. It says pervert sex offender. And then it's the same picture, but he puts on a doggy mask and he has a pride. No, what is that? Marketing is not great. They keep changing the flag, so you can't really. That's the Pride Progress flag. That's the one. And yeah, then it says Pride Free Expression. And that got 1,000 likes. Akush Sharma says, getting those little ones used to adults behaving and speaking in sexual mannerism around them. This is what grooming looks like. Adult sexual behavior is separate from children for a reason. The lack of boundaries these parents have put their children in danger. Getting 787 likes, which, yeah, it's pretty bad parenting. Base Chef says, I'll say it, and it's Robert De Niro? Who's that? The Joker where he's talking to the interviewee, or the interviewer. And the interviewer says, do you really think publicly executing pedos is okay? And the Joker says, I do, and I'm tired of pretending it's not. I got 960 likes. Let's see. Valentin Gomez says, a bunch of pedos, protect the children, and investigate those selling the scrap. Getting 696 likes. Dr. Clown PD says, degenerating people doing degenerate things. What a shocking 169 likes. Branos on X says, quote, we're not coming after your kids, unquote, says the people attempting to sell male body part toys to your kids. Getting 232 likes. Let's see. Going down more and more. Let's see. Michelle LA, she has a totalitarian flag known as Canadian flag. And she says, but it's family friendly. No place for children. The perversion has to end. Getting 74 likes. Didn't see that coming with that flag. I would have thought she'd be a contrarian statement. Thus far, no contrarian statements. I'm trying to stick up for this action yet. See if we find any. Samuel S. says, if you ever find yourself saying the phrase, both the ice cream and male body parts were overpriced, rethink your worldview. Getting 25 likes. Writer guy says, when someone asks why conservatives don't support LGBTQ, show them this. History will look back at this era of shamelessness, perversion, and shake its head in disbelief, getting 54 likes. And perhaps they'll see a correlation to the Roman Empire, which, as all men do, we think about that at least once per week. So, I'll be honest, probably, I'd say it every day, at least once, especially if you're driving in the United States where you see the roads and you're like, oh dear God, why are these roads so terrible? Why are there so many potholes? Why can't the unions fix them? Oh, wait, never mind. I digress. See if there's any contrarian statements here. So far, it looks like overwhelming support. Washington Ghost says they really don't hide it at all, getting 60 likes. Cheryl Ann says, has someone called Child Protective Services, getting 47 likes. Now, it's even more concerning when in some states, in some countries, if your child wants to transition and you don't, then the child will be taken away from you. So the same police officers and Child Protective Services will quickly become not your ally, but your opponent, which is quite concerning. The government would do that, to say the least. Going down more and more. Resist Club says stop, and it's the meme of the girl playing the trombone, or no, that's the tuba, and the girl standing against the wall with the big tuba. Trombone? No. Trombone? Tuba. That is tuba. That's a tuba. Nevertheless, brass instrument. With their face, with the brass instrument bell right in front of it, says me trying to live my life. The person blowing the instrument says LGBT propaganda, getting 38 likes. Megan's Mole says blame the parents who are exposing their children to this shit, getting 61 likes, which, absolutely. One bad dude says these people belong in a prison, getting 74 likes. Let's see here, scrolling down more and more. Oh, that's funny. Matthew B, there's a picture of a snake with a little unicorn, a rainbow unicorn, what do we call it, like a little head helmet strapped to the snake's head. It says, I just want to read some books to your kids. Getting 128 likes. Let's see here. Nevada Liberty 1864 has a bunch of people walking. This is downtown. So they're just walking, and there's a pride flag, and they use it as like a mat to rub their shoes on, getting 50 likes. And it's astonishing that these people doing burnouts on these pride murals, which are painted on the ground in intersections, which is terrible marketing. They will always get junk on them, especially in cities. Well, you're getting felony charges for people doing burnouts on those flags or those murals of LGBT stuff. However, if you burn the United States flag, that is protected by free speech. Interesting. Going down more and more. Nevada Liberty 1864 also says June is Groomer Awareness Month, getting 54 likes. Going down. Let's see. Johnny Tyler says, I don't know who made this meme, but it's the duck and this, quacking at someone. And Duck says, how come you never read books at nursing homes or to the homeless or to the sick and the needy? And it's, I guess now the duck is, or goose is, cracking at the one that says, why is it only little kids? Since it's a trans person running away. Getting 67 likes. A good question to ask. Well, let's see here. Nevada Liberty 1864 has a lot of memes. Like 20 in a row. It's gotta be someone else. Let's see. No. Okay, finally we get. Try to find one or two more comments here. Sumo Joe says, little kids now carrying plush dildos and no one is marching in the streets. Everything is fine. Getting 8 likes. Let's see. Let's do one more. Stone Tossers has a picture of free candy and then a lot of pride and trans and, what's that? Asexual flags? Can't keep track of them. I got 224 likes. So quite a little pushback. Again, pretty sure the city signed off the parade. Well, obviously they get the permits, all that kind of stuff. And I mean, it's their culture, and I guess Boston, that they approve and appreciate these things. And it'd be fascinating. I'm not sure the legal litigation in terms of, or the legal standing in terms of selling those plush toys, and maybe it's the parents buying them. Either way, it doesn't pass a gut check, at least for, I would argue, for a sane person. But again, I mean, I don't think more than 1 or 2% of Americans care what anyone does in the bedroom. I don't. Really, the point of controversy is, again, when you start having these praise and these toys given to children, which, again, there used to be a word called child appropriate for a reason. I'm not sure if society will evolve to actually care more about that these days, or what that trend will look like, but maybe let me know. Do you think the pendulum's going to swing back anytime soon? As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have a California City Council taking down a U-turn sign claiming that it's homophobic. And this is not an article by the Babylon Bee. This isn't a parody. This really happened. And this is the sign that everyone sees. And I've never thought of a street sign being in any way controversial or homophobic. Perhaps the do not enter sign, though, maybe that'll be the next one. But nevertheless, this is brought to us thanks to End Wokeness on X Twitter. Oh, there we go. In which he says, quote, breaking. Los Angeles City Council members have removed the no-turn traffic signs from in a gay neighborhood. They say the signs are homophobic. No, this is not satire. And it's only about 47 seconds long. Let's see. It looks like it starts with a drag queen. Isn't this technically another great example of the dual justice system? If a conservative did this, or if they ever did like that, they'd be prosecuted for stealing. They'd be thrown in jail. I mean, this is government property. They're taking down. There's also vandalism, you could argue. And yet, but nevertheless. They're all clapping as they're taking down that sign.
LA City Council members
And this is brought to us again thanks to ABC7, this particular source for this one.
Soto Martinez and Nithya Raman were on hand today to help remove the signs. They say the no cruising and no U-turn signs were put up in the 1990s to prevent people in the gay community from meeting up with other gay people.
I was also surprised that these U-turn signs were still.
Of course, he did not suit up. He's wearing at least it's a button-up with some type of floral pattern. As we know, men should always suit up, but that's just a side note.
Up. And at first, they seem a little, oh, okay, it's just a no U-turn sign. But when you learn the history of it and you realize that these were used to profile gay people, it's so important that.
This individual is standing in front of a poster. It's nicer than a poster. I won't downplay the quality of the marketing materials. Looks like a high-quality plastic banner behind him, and it says Pride Health with Pride colors. It says Baby Gay. And they have many Pride balloons. So it's the Pride flag, the original one, with the heart-shaped balloon.
That we have these removed.
The LA City Council members say the signs were put up after the gay community began to grow and because there was a gay bar in that area.
That's it.
The LA City Council members say the signs were put up after the gay community began to grow and because there was a gay bar.
Wow. This one pretty viral. It's probably one of End Wokeness' most popular posts of the year. Got 17.5 million views and it's 85,000 likes. And it almost seemed like satire. I couldn't believe when I first read this. I had to check a couple other sources. I'm like, it can't be real. But no, this really happened. They took down a no U-turn sign. Which also, again, shows you the priorities of California. Stopping crime? Nah. Stopping illegal immigrants breaking into the city? No. Stopping rampant drug use, people dying of fentanyl overdoses? No. Worried about businesses leaving in droves because of increased taxes and regulation? No. But they do care about removing street signs. Now, I understand politically, maybe this is a good move in terms of this will help the city council people get reelected. I mean, probably not, but let's go in the comments and see what folks have to say. Arthur Eagleman says, quote, tell me again, these people are not mentally ill, getting 32,000 likes. He also says, we are living in strange times, getting 8.8 thousand likes. The Texas one, this is how you literally get people killed, getting 733 likes. Also, Zupa says, I give up, getting 266 likes. Clown World says, clown emoji world emoji, which I guess makes sense, that's what their profile name is, getting 1.7 thousand likes. Dr. Maga says, tracking signs are hurting feelings, getting 6.6 thousand likes. Sassafras84 says, how the F is a U-turn homophobic? We have real life issues happening, and these stupid Fs defeated a U-turn signal. You can't make this up. Getting 8.2 thousand likes. Silvercat Media TM says, Clown World. It's the compilation of, what is it? Well, it says no one has to go along with this weird shit. With each word, there's the pride, oh, I forget which ones, the sexual orientation flags, and then it has tire treads all over them. That got 3.1 thousand likes. The hashtag slasher says this council member's name is maybe a girl and is spelled M-A-E-B-E, a girl. Which is, so that's the city council member's name, is maybe a girl. That's ridiculous. And I should know, my name is Topping. I don't have much ground to stand on. Or some might argue, I don't have many pizza boxes to stand on. Calling yourself maybe, M-A-E-B-E, a girl. Yeah. And then, again, people, they voted for this individual. They probably got elected in spades, or more likely some type of colorful thing. But nevertheless, they got 5.2 thousand likes. Though Call Me Shirley says, wait until they see these signs and says, wrong way, don't enter, getting 7.6 thousand likes. Hi, I'm Kelly Joe says, there's so much crime in Los Angeles, but this is what they're concerned about. Got 4.2 thousand likes. Doopy says, unfathomable levels of stupidity, getting 2.1 thousand likes. Another picture, Steve Inman says, perhaps this might be more appropriate. It says, do not enter wrong way, getting 3.8 thousand likes. COD says, liberals are the dumbest people in America, getting 7.8 thousand likes. Livercat Media TM says, his name is maybe a girl. Let that sink in to whom Democrats are catering to. Got 787 likes. Let's see. James R says, bridges are racist, signs are homophobic. Who knew? Getting 145 likes. Let's see. Sassafras84 also says, watch the accidents pile up. They'll be like, gee, why are they happening? Getting 943 likes. Yep. See the contrarian statements here. Because, again, there are millions of people who probably agree with this action, especially in that area in Los Angeles. Let's see. No. Not seeing many contrarian statements here. A lot of people referencing calling it a clown world. Yeah. Yeah. Not seeing many contrarian statements here. And again, I mean, there are many people who agree with the city council's decision. I mean, this person will probably be reelected in spades or something like that. I mean, let me know. Are you surprised? Are you offended by the sign? I've never once been offended by those types of signs. And then they're saying, oh yeah, maybe because a gay bar was there. Which, how's that unique to that area? I'm pretty sure there are many of those in Los Angeles. You can't throw a brick without hitting one, probably. I don't recommend it because you'd be thrown in prison for 50 years with the justice system these days. Of course, if you throw a brick at a pro-life pregnancy health center, then you're off the hook. That's not a joke. That's happened many times. But nevertheless, let me know in the comments. As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have the Sandy Hook family now wanting Alex Jones' social media account after suing him for more than $1 billion. Which is insane to say the least, especially when the United States used to believe in things like the freedom of speech, which Alex Jones is my favorite litmus test for knowing if someone is truly an American or a believer in speech. Because again, he says some crazy stuff. It's quite concerning when he gets a lot of things right, though. And one of my favorite questions I ask people is, do you think Alex Jones should be on social media? Do you think he should have a platform? And if the person says no, then I know they're an evil, mentally vacuous tyrant. If they say yes, then I know they're an American or someone who believes in the Bill of Rights and free speech. Because again, every American used to have this faith in believing that while I may not agree with what you say, I will fight to the death for your right to say it. Again, that's a uniquely America ideology. I mean, very few countries have such protections as the Bill of Rights. Very few countries have freedom of speech. Canada, you get fined or arrested for making fun of their dictator Trudeau, also known as Little Castro. It's very rare to have that freedom of speech. It used to be uniquely American. You should all believe it. Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, everyone. And yet now, fewer and fewer people believe in it, which is quite concerning. Now, Alex Jones, I believe the total coverage of him on the Sandy Hook massacre, well, it was under 30 minutes total. And again, his conspiracy theory at the time was, well, all these kids were recently had their lives taken away with a perpetrator with a popular firearm, AR-15. And you know what? The parents are laughing at these interviews. So Alex Jones thought, well, are they acting? Now, granted, a lot of people during tough times also appreciate humor. So again, I don't think that was a big red flag, so to say. But his theory was that it was planned so that they can pass more gun laws to take our gun rights away. Which, I mean, they do try to take more gun rights away every time there's a tragedy. Now, he was arguing that it was a planned thing. And because his theory was wrong, and they claimed, oh yeah, he told his fans to go, attack the families, lambast him on social media, which I didn't see any evidence of that. And yet they sued him for more than $1 billion. The most morally vacuous thing was they said the quiet part out loud, the lawyer for the Sandy Hook families, and again, I don't think every family member went after Alex Jones, which one would think they'd be angry with the person who took their child away, or the FBI or the government entities that saw the red flags did nothing. But no, they're focusing on Alex Jones. Okay. Well, the families that do want to go after Alex Jones, the lawyer of theirs during this issue, they told the judge, and the jury, we know he's guilty, so now you just have to decide, how guilty he is. And the lawyer said, we want to send a message so that no one ever has the ability to speak like that again. So that's why, again, over $1 billion. You have police in America killing people and getting prosecuted in terms of the judge rules that it was a bad, inappropriate shot or it was illegal. Those police officers might get a $4 or $5 million fine. Usually taken out of police, usually just tax dollars pay for it. And yet, Alex Jones got over $1 billion fine. Which shows you what the government really cares about. Now it appears the Sandy Hook families want to go one step further. Now this is brought to us thanks to Colin Rugg over at X Twitter. He says, quote, new Hook families want to take control of Alex Jones' social media accounts in his bankruptcy. It's pretty bizarre that these people have more animosity towards Alex Jones than the actual shooter. The families have asked a bankruptcy judge in Houston to seize control of Jones' account. They say that the accounts are no different than a customer list of any liquidating business. During a recent podcast, comedian Shane Gillies pondered, hey, remember when Alex Jones got sued for billions more and the people who killed millions of people in Iraq didn't face any repercussions? Which, yeah, that's another pretty interesting thing as well. And Lord knows their voices are infinitely better than mine. We'll play that quick clip here.
The war in Iraq was
ridiculous.
I remember I watched it. I watched it on TV. You remember that night when we opened bombing?
Oh,
it was just on the news.
I remember.
We're like, here's us fucking up some other city.
Yeah. Boom, boom.
We watched it, and I was
you
like...
see the tracer missiles?
Yeah. I remember being a kid and being like, this is fucking weird.
Yeah. It was fucking weird.
It's weird.
What's really crazy is that they never showed the evidence of weapons of mass destruction that they should have had something that would let them go to war, but they never had any real evidence.
Hey, remember when Alex Jones got sued for $1 billion?
More.
And then
I think it's more than
the people that killed 1 million people in Iraq didn't face any repercussions.
Crazy.
What a time.
What a time.
Huh?
Isn't that nuts? Isn't that nuts?
What the heck?
What's the real misinformation?
I said...
I got 4.3 million views and 25,000 likes. Although maybe? No, I thought I could be the final vote to get to 26,000. That was not me today. And one of the first comments comes from Western Lensman saying they've successfully connected Alex Jones' name to this horrific event in the minds of the public authorities now than the actual murderers, which, yep, they got 3,000 likes. Colin Rugg responded saying, it's a good time to remind people that Alex Jones was not responsible for the Sandy Hook massacres, getting 4.9 thousand likes. Let's see here. Going down more and more. Arthur Eagleman says they want him silenced and we are next. I stand with Alex Jones, getting 2.2 thousand likes, which, yeah, if I had one of those jars that says like put $1 every time and put $1 in the Alex Jones is right jar, I'm not saying I could retire by now, certainly not with this economy and this inflation, but Might be able to take a vacation. I haven't done that in like 7 years, but nevertheless. Paul Zupa said the establishment wants to keep power, and they know the only way to do so is by censorship and force. That's why they're going after prominent conservatives like Alex Jones and trying to silence them before the election. The establishment is terrified of free speech, getting 377 likes. Pop World says they're trying to silence him, getting 522 likes. Luke Zelensky, finally a contrarian statement or comment. Now, he is a famous, well, not too famous, he's moderately famous leftist. He, in terms of his profile, it's obviously he's far left. His prominent article of his career is writing an article for GQ saying how boys should not be able to play football, which tells you everything he needs to know about him. His profile picture is also of him wearing a V-neck, which I don't say that's weak, but perhaps it's only appropriate for like an in-house date between you and your wife after you've been dating for like maybe 3 to 7 years. So the relationship has a strong foundation. And yet his profile picture is him wearing a V-neck as a man. But nevertheless, I digress. Luke Zelensky says there's nothing you can say or do to confront MAGA gaslighting that won't be met with more MAGA gaslighting. They'll say anything to make themselves victim and a hero and everything, and there's nothing you can do to say anything about it. This is the MAGA gaslighting paradox. Getting 8 likes. So he didn't actually, say anything contrary in terms of, give us additional information of why he doesn't think this is, I think he would believe it's appropriate that Alex Jones is having his life stolen from him for under 30 minutes of coverage of a conspiracy theory that he got wrong. And again, he's talked about this ad nauseum, and it's good marketing by the establishment because many people have a negative view of Alex Jones because of that one incident that they used to define him. Now, Salty Goat says Alex Jones didn't do anything that wasn't protected by First Amendment, period, getting 1.1 thousand likes. Going down more and more. The Old School Eddie says Alex Jones is being used as a message for the rest of us. If we don't like what you say, we'll destroy you. Getting 404 likes. Red Wave Press says, what happened to free speech in America? How can the Sandy Hook victims sue Jones for billions of dollars just for speaking his mind? Getting 291 likes. Which, yeah. Tatsfast84 says they're not only trying to silence him, they want to cancel his life. He has constitutional rights, and establishment loves violating them. I stand with Alex Jones, getting 287 likes. Craig Chamberlain says, anyone else think the $1.5 billion verdict against Alex Jones has the same stench of the $500 million verdict against Trump in New York? Getting 544 likes. Let's see. Gizmo says Trump was right, and this picture of Trump saying, in reality, they're not after me, they're after you. Getting 125 likes, which that's got to be one of Trump's top 2 or 3 most prolific quotes of all time. When he says, it's not in reality, they're not after me, they're after you, I'm just in the way. He should, if I was his marketing manager, I'd have him say that at least once at every rally. Now it's going down more and more. Let's see. Going down more and more. Hi, I'm Kelly Joe says, when will the government be held accountable for what happened during COVID? Getting 28 likes, which, yeah, that would be never. Let's see. Oh, we did find a contrarian statement. Pastor Ben says, Alex simply should have now targeted and harassed and mocked the families of 17 children and 4 teachers killed in Sandy Hook. I thought Christians believed what you reap what you sow, getting 161 likes, which, again, he just said he thought some of them were actors. I don't think he was actually targeting. What are some of the top responses? Sam says, it's not even about that. No one said he did a good thing. It's about how the establishment is using it to prosecute him unfairly due to his opposing views. 1.5 billion is simply absurd for anything, getting 17 likes. Chris Moles says, I thought Americans defend free speech, getting 27. Let's make it 28 likes. Going down. A couple contrarian statements. So, thankfully, it seems like more and more positive ones supporting him in free speech. And, yeah, probably one of the most famous incidents of a media company being sued or an individual broadcaster being sued for that record amount. And again, this is not every single of the families of that. I know that some of them are also didn't want to increase regulations in firearms and didn't want to take your gun rights away because it's one evil perpetrator, while some of them did. But let me know in the comments. Do you think Alex Jones, how will he make a comeback? Do you think there will actually be, I don't think Elon will actually acquiesce and give over someone's social media account legally. And this will be a fascinating thing that challenges in court because, again, once it happens once, it'll be used many, many times as a weapon, I believe, where well, if they find out they can just sue you and take away your social media, they can truly silence you. I think legally, Elon Musk and these social media companies will say, well, technically we own that, it's our platform, we own that account, or we own that profile, we're just letting that person use it. So you can't take away our property. I suspect there'll be something to that effect in terms of how this hammers out in a legal and litigation way. But let me know in the comments. As always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have Russia making its first public ceasefire proposal to Ukraine. But, yeah, spoiler alert, I don't think they'll take it because U.S. is going to give them more and more money. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Lord Bebo saying, quote, breaking, Russia makes first public ceasefire proposal to Ukraine. And I was going to say, I don't know many people who speak Russian in the United States, so they probably can't understand Putin. So I'll let him try to speak, and we'll play like a second or two.
Эти условия очень простые. Украинские войска должны быть полностью выведены из Донецкой, Луганской народных республик, Херсонской и Запорожской областей. Причем, обращаю внимание, именно со всей территории этих регионов в пределах их административных границ, которые существовали на момент их вхождения в Украину. Как только в Киеве заявят о том, что готовы к такому решению и начнут реальный вывод войск из этих регионов, а также официально уведомят об отказе от планов вступления в НАТО, с нашей стороны незамедлительно, буквально в ту же минуту, последует приказ прекратить огонь и начать переговоры. Повторю, мы это сделаем незамедлительно. Естественно, одновременно гарантируем беспрепятственный и безопасный отвод украинских частей и соединений.
Which, quite, I don't know, it's a catchy language, or not as quite as aggressive as the German. Now, translated, he said, quote, Ukrainian troops should be completely withdrawn from Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republic, Kherson and Zaporozhye regions, and also officially we will notify about the rejection of plans to join NATO on our part immediately, literally the same minute. An order will be given to ceasefire and start negotiations. That went viral, got 9.3 million views and 27,000 likes. And apparently, what does he continue to say?
Киевского режима. Очевидно, реалии на земле на линии боевого соприкосновения будут и дальше меняться, не в пользу киевского режима.
Okay, I know folks can't understand that, so I'll just read it. The main part says, quote, our proposals aim to end the conflict and not freeze it, as the West wants. They just want to rearm in a new offensive, which, yeah, almost about a year earlier, yeah, Boris Johnson, I mean, they're going to, Ukraine was going to go ahead and, come up with an agreement, everyone start fighting. Then the US is like, no, I don't think so. And Boris Johnson's like, yeah, we're going to nuke this deal. I was going to say, pun hopefully not intended, because it hasn't gone nuclear yet. Though NATO, or rather the Ukrainian forces, are using depleted uranium rounds, which Russia said they consider nuclear aggression, since depleted uranium rounds are moderately radioactive and made by, as it might, as the title says, depleted uranium, which are known as used for tank busters, used from old uranium. A lot of nuclear energy plants, when they're done with them, they'll recycle them in this way. And they're great for tank busters because it's one of the most dense substances and can bust through many armor. Now, the geopolitical update says the U.S. will tell Ukraine not to take it, getting 3.3 thousand likes. Yeah. Rehadical says, rationally, Russian troops should be withdrawn entirely from Ukrainian territory. Then Russia pays for the damage of the war of aggression and caused and cedes its imperialistic claims to neighboring sovereign countries. In the meantime, Ukraine has every right to defend itself from Russia aggression. Okay, 1.5 thousand likes. Dina Panchino, she has a Ukrainian flag. Let's see, she says, Ukraine has already rejected the proposal plan. It turns out Zelensky supports aggression. Well, he also supports, eliminating religion and his political opponents. Okay, he said they won't be election unless the U.S. pays for it, which we're paying for everything else. Why not? Literally, we're paying for small businesses over there. We're paying for pensions of government officials over there. Yeah, they've almost $200 billion is the tab, which, geez Louise, that's a lot. We also have Packle Frozen said not going to happen. This is the final warning, getting 391 likes. King Adrana, it looks like that's a Palestinian flag, says Zelensky just landed a deal for 10 years worth armament and worth billions. The last thing is mind ceasefire. Getting 894 likes. Yep. Pretty big incentive not to stop. The unconventional patriot says he's really trying to stop killing his people, getting 248 likes. STAKO Stocko says Russia is being very fair. If Ukraine doesn't agree, then Russia will continue to Odessa. Best price for not complying, getting 311 likes. Ulilian says one of the proposals by our big-hearted president that they seem like a gift from heaven in 6 months for those rejected today, getting 234 likes. Going down more and more. Kel says the U.S. won't take Putin's offer, getting 93 likes. Dennis Ochihaburo says, or asks a poll says, is this proposal favoring both countries? I'd say, what's the yes and no? So it looks like 46% of the 10,640 votes, which pretty good sample size, 46% said yes, and 54% said only Russia. Going down more and more. Todd says sanctions mostly hitting, getting 79 likes, which, I mean, Russia has a lot of the natural resources they need, and they trade with they are a couple of friendly allies who trade with them. So they're still getting cash for their oil and their other natural resources there. Let's see. And again, they've been economically isolated for over a year now. I mean, another reason I don't see much effectiveness in sanctions, historically speaking, they really haven't done much. I understand the intention and why the theory behind them, but let me know if you've heard of a more effective use of sanctions. Let's see. Looks like a couple. Oh, here we go. English peasant said, won't happen. NATO want war. It's all about military industrial contracts. And it's Danny DeVito spraying dollar bills and says dollar bills. Y'all getting 70 likes. Lawrence Larry Bornstein says the Ukrainian-Russia war has resulted in a loss of 445,000 AFU troops and 385,000 every month. Now there's a proposal on the table to stop the war, getting 441 likes. Which, yeah, and it's also one of those things where it's not just Ukrainian soldiers. It's it's totally not U.S. soldiers. It's just independent U.S. contractors and allies all over the world, giving them all the weapons and all the people. So, yeah, there's a lot of people invested. Like, oh, we got Alvis Harding Jr. says, oh, Ukrainian flag, U.S. flag, which is fascinating. Also, how many Americans, quote unquote, have the Ukrainian flag in their profile and on their front lawn, where they're the same people who would never have an American flag. Fascinating. He says, how about Russia GTFO, Ukrainian flag, getting 36 likes. Light says Putin should withdraw his forces back to Russia, getting 97 likes. Might be, I was about to say 50-50 split in terms of people saying this is a good deal versus people saying bad. It's probably about 40. It is probably about 40% people saying this is a fair deal, and the majority of people saying that's probably not so much. So yeah, not too surprised. It'll be interesting to see, again, peace and prosperity would be best for all. I'm not sure how we get there, but hopefully there'll be some peace soon. Granted, that being said, all the mechanisms of incentive are in place for that not to happen anytime soon. Let me know in the comments what you think the final result would be, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Biden signing a Ukrainian partnership for about 10 years to get billions of dollars to them, which, fascinating they use the word partnership. I'm still waiting to see what they give us. I did some analytics on, are we the top 10 trading partner with that country? Spoiler alert, we are not. Last time I think the data came from 2022, we are the top 12th trading partner. So we do some business with them. And yeah, and Zelensky also, I almost laughed out. Well, no, I did laugh out loud. He says we should give them lots of money because it's investment. Now, I'm not sure what the return on investment will be. If we give them $200 billion, is he going to turn around and give us $2 trillion in a couple of years? Granted, with inflation, maybe, but yeah, probably not. And again, this is why I don't think the war is going to end anytime soon, unless maybe Trump gets in office and he just has Putin and Zelensky get in the same room. He says, here's what's going to happen. Russia, you get A, B, and C. Then we're done. Ukraine, Zelensky, keep doing stand-up comedy. You're hilarious. And yeah, I can't imagine how much Zelensky's got in his pocket these days. But nevertheless, this comes from, well, it says Biden, but it is really Jean-Pierre, the Pear girl. But nevertheless, she's been caught many times tweeting for him. But it's his profile. And Biden says, allegedly, today, President Zelensky and I signed an agreement to strengthen Ukrainians' defense and deterrence for years to come. Peace for Ukraine must be underwritten by its ability to defend itself in the future. The U.S. will help ensure Ukraine can do both. Which, historically speaking, it's kind of like flushing money down the toilet. I mean, they've only been able to do this far because pretty much every country on the planet is sending them billions in arms in terms of physical military weapons, medical gear, as well as personnel. And historically speaking, it's the most corrupt countries in the Europe. Even CNN had articles about that. The Washington Post. I mean, fascinating how the money just disappears time and time again. Now, right pretty viral. It looks like, was this a 27-second clip? Lazy son of a bitch, as you might say, or Biden might say, actually. Zelensky is in, what is it? Green, what is it, military pants and a green sweater, long sleeve. It's like the if you took someone on a date, how disappointed would you be if they showed up like that? You give this person $200 billion, they can't suit up like all men should. Biden suited up for this 27-second commercial. Now it says, President Biden and President Zelensky signed bilateral security agreement. Let's see. Let's play this real quick. Oh, some music. They're both walking. I'm surprised. Independent.
Our goal is to strengthen Ukraine's credible defense and deterrence capabilities for the long term. A lasting peace for Ukraine must be underwritten by Ukraine's own ability to defend itself now and to deter future aggression anytime in the future.
I mean, Zelensky is smiling ear to ear. I mean, he's making
In the future.
good music. I mean, very emotional rhetoric, soft piano, and not enough classical piano is used these days. And I got 2.1 million views and 27,000 likes. Yeah, 10-year mutual. Yeah. Or as he might say, come on, man. Now, one of the first comments comes from Paul Zupa saying, Ukraine already lost to Russia. Joe Biden needs to secure the U.S. border and deport illegals, but we know he won't. Biden wants illegals for their votes and their census. Zelensky is a tyrant. Goes on to say President Trump should cancel his deal with Ukraine as he's sworn in. I got 2,000 likes. Planet Meme says, how about a peace deal? I remember when Democrats were against endless wars. Getting 693 likes, which, yeah, that used to be a thing. Gunther Eagleman says, well, rather, he has the middle finger emoji, and he says Zelensky, getting 663 likes. The Alex Sidenza is Silencia? Can't pronounce that, unfortunately. All America Truther says, I wonder how this played out today. And Zelensky, a little comic book of him, and says, so I said to Joey, I am leaving in 6 hours. I need another billion from you, or I'll tell everyone your dirty, corrupt little secrets. Well, son of a bitch, getting 1.2 thousand likes, which is a parody of Biden or I should clarify, the big guy who was apparently, there were some investigators looking into Hunter Biden getting paid, $86,000 a month for being on the board of directors for Burisma, because of course he's a nuclear genius or an energy aficionado. He's very good to have on board of directors. Then someone started to investigate him, and then Biden said, if you don't stop this investigation, you won't get any more money from the U.S. because we continually just give them money. And then Biden, in public, admitted on stage, and he says, well, son of the bitch, then he was fired, which is illegal, but of course, rules for thee, but not for me. That got 1.2 thousand likes. Jeff Carlson says, a 10-year agreement after 150 billion we already sent. As you ignore the needs of your own citizens, guess that whole blackmail thing is really paying off for Zelensky. Getting 5.8 thousand likes, which, again, that is the best return on investment in history. You paid someone about, was it $75,000 or $85,000 per month for Hunter Biden, and after a couple of years, you got $150 billion back? I mean, that is in terms of fiscally speaking, that ROI is unprecedented success. That's really impressive. Matt Couch says, after this, 1 million American veterans are 1 million homeless Americans, 70,000 homeless U.S. veterans, 3 million a month coming across the U.S. border. America First 2024, we're sending you to a nursing home from 2024, getting 4.2 thousand likes, which also shows how much the U.S. government cares about other areas and other people versus us. I also have the flag guy saying Ukraine is a massive money laundering operation for you and your administration, getting 3.4 thousand likes. I am Kelly Joe says this agreement will be voided January 20, 2025 when Trump is back in the White House, getting 1.1 thousand likes. Marjorie Taylor Greene press release parody account says, are you effing kidding me? You should defend and protect our border, getting 1,000 likes, which it is fascinating to see how they really care about some countries' borders, and yet they don't. Very few actually care about the U.S. southern border. Salty Goat says, you already did this, dumbass. Now I get to tell you again, stop spending money we don't have. You see now, prick. Getting 1.7 thousand likes. Going down more and more. Belvy Benjamin Button says, meanwhile, the concerns of the struggling Americans you ignored. Says, you know who isn't struggling to buy groceries and pay rent? This guy. That's Zelensky laughing, wearing a, what is that? Yeah, wearing a sweater, getting 961 likes. Everyone else in the room is wearing a suit, as all men should, and he's laughing, wearing a sweater. Ridiculous. Getting 961 likes. Don Vito says Ukrainian ATM, and it's Biden dressed up as an ATM machine with Zelensky looking at him. Getting 150 likes. Jeez. I don't know if this is photoshopped or not. Final Cut Michigan says third wheel, and it's Biden. His hand apparently is on Zelensky's rear, and Jill Biden's hand is on his back. It got 140 likes. The American AF says stop sending our money to Ukraine, getting 767 likes. Proud Army Brat says, do you have any idea how much we loathe the two of you clowns? You both exemplify everything disastrous, total failures on every level. Enjoy your dismal legacies, getting 985 likes. That being said, history books are written by the winners. Kind of like how everyone thinks FDR is an amazing, great president because he spent so much money fighting the war on poverty, which is really just wasting money since poverty rates are usually about the same. And a lot of people are just now desperate and they're dependent on the government for generations. I would argue is one of the most evil things you can do. Let's see. There's got to be some contrarian statements here. And yeah, this is, I mean, the U.S. is about 50-50 split on most political issues. And same with this one. There are a lot of people probably displaying the Ukrainian flag. A lot of people asking, well, why are we sending money to a place most Americans can't point to on a map? And I mean, this is Biden's profile on X Twitter. He should have about a 50-50 split between people who support him and don't support him. And yet, I mean, we saw a couple on the other posts where they were supportive of Ukraine. But let's see here. I mean, this is like 90% do not agree with Biden on this one. Here. And again, that being said, there are millions of Americans who do agree with this political move. And I mean, some people will argue that it's good for the U.S. economy because some of that money is reinvested in the U.S. And I say reinvested is that some of it is you're giving them arms and armament, which is U.S. manufacturing. Granted, Ukrainian government isn't giving us new money, so economically, I think you could argue that the money's just being moved around. You're not generating new wealth, which I would think would be the key to that type of argument in terms of military government contracts, building the United States economy. But I partially digress. It is fascinating to see on this post that, again, it's mostly critiquing Biden. And I wonder if this could be one of the top 10 political topics that people are going to vote on when they do go to the booths. Because, again, you got about $150 billion. That's more money than most people can possibly fathom. There are a lot of people struggling right here. I mean, most people are struggling just to pay rent these days. There are a lot of issues right in the United States. We're spending $150 billion to defend their border. And yet, I remember, what was it? There were a couple of Democrats in Congress or in the government where they said, well, we can't possibly spend, $6 to $8 billion on the U.S. border wall. That's too expensive. I never want to hear that rudimentary argument again, because again, we spend billions on other countries. Again, proper immigration is paramount. So a lot of people would argue for the economy, for long-term success, especially the decrease in birth rates. But when you have no idea who's crossing your border, and again, not all of them, we're seeing many instances of more crimes, some terroristic activity, because again, you're not vetting them. You literally don't know who they are. A lot of them are military-age fighting men. So I think this, again, with the juxtaposition with the U.S. border policies and lack of action, I think this could be one of the top topics when it comes to the upcoming election. But let me know, do you think this topic has been played out? Everyone's kind of done by now. They just know, oh yeah, there's more money being over there. Does the average American still have a vested interest? Again, there are a lot of Ukrainian flags in the United States. Let me look out. Do you see them in your neighborhood? I mean, anecdotally speaking, I'm trying to think. Anecdotally speaking, again, I'm in a great state, or some might argue the great country of TXS. So I've seen like one or two flags. Is very uncommon. I'm North Dallas, Fort Worth. So I haven't seen too many. Now that being said, on social media, I do see many of my friends, and some of them, they do have that flag prominently displayed on their profile picture. But let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, the House passes a bill to automatically enlist men in the draft. Now, this comes to us thanks to the Concerned Citizen, which, interestingly enough, it's a pretty good profile name. And, well, let me see here. Now, it says, quote, the American House just passed this bill whereby all male aged 18 to 26 are automatically enlisted with the U.S. military draft. Now, young Americans might have no choice but to serve the most prestigious military in the world. that demands you respect whether you agree with someone's pronouns or not. Which, I mean, that could be another cultural phenomenon where many people they start to adapt different pronouns. I'll be interested to see how the military, how do they quote unquote respect them? If every military age male just has now female pronouns and they say they're not men, how would the draft possibly work? Now, again, the draft, I mean, everyone has to do it. It's just automatic. Like, I remember when I was younger, back in the day, when N64 was still the top G. Well, okay, I didn't sign up for the draft at that point. But again, you sign up, but it's not automatic. So I think that's one of the things where I think in this case, as an individual, you would have to sign the piece of paperwork, perhaps. Now, granted, this person, see what they have to say really quick here. Again, we do have a reader's added context, so we'll also read that in a New York Minute here. Let's see here. I was going to say, all men should shoot up. I'm not sure what kind of tie that is. Some of my military buddies in the comments, I appreciate your insight, especially what type of, like a reverse tie. There's nothing in the middle, but there's like two stripes. I'm not sure if that's official. I'd be interested to learn about that.
All too often, I hear...
And I'm not sure, ironically, it's one of the few times where I'd actually, I mean, I'm not sure this person's pronouns, but it would help.
All too often, I hear leaders talk about providing everyone with dignity and respect like it's an aspirational goal. That's not good enough. Dignity and respect is the bare minimum. It's the floor of where we can be. We must set our sights higher and focus on...
A wise man once said, respect is earned, not given, but I digress.
...on intentional inclusivity, because there are still far too many people out there, not just LGBTQ individuals, that feel marginalized, shut out, or discriminated against. So for all of you out there, I ask you to set out your symbols of pride, share your pronouns in your email, particularly if you're a person who doesn't think they need to.
Ah, so that's a military. Ah, that's great. That's someone in the U.S. military. And the readers add context says, quote, one is not automatically enlisted by being registered with the selective service system. Also, the selective service registration is already required by law. Here. One of the first comments comes from Daniel Chamberlain saying, this piece of crap in the uniform really pisses me off, getting 1.8 thousand likes. Drew Hicks says, just don't comply. It's that simple, getting 1.4 thousand likes. I'm a Draft says, I assure you they do have a choice because people are not just going to send their children off to a war like Vietnam, getting 1.8 thousand likes, which, again, with the U.S. involvement with the Ukrainian-Russia conflict war, whatever you call it, how many parents would want their child to go fight for the Ukrainian border? Protect that. An interesting question. It'd be fascinating to hear the statistical data if there's some type of poll on that. City Sue says, send the sons of those who voted for Biden first, getting 4.2 thousand likes. Becca says, they will never take my son under this regime, getting 2.9 thousand likes. Don Marie says, hell no, in this picture of U.S. military officials in, what is that, kink sex stuff? It's the famous man who transitioned and got a lot of accolades. Rachel Levine. Then you have the U.S. Army and Navy with pride trans flags marching. Then you have, my apologies, I don't know the specific military branches based on the dressed up uniforms, but you have two gentlemen in the U.S. military uniforms while wearing one of those leather dog mask things. That is, I guess, a thing that is a popular thing in the LGBT, the pride bedroom community. And yeah, this post got 639 likes. Going down more and more. Let's see here. Rant Till We Can't says, the time is coming that our love for our children will be put to the test. Globalists believe that our kids belong to them long term. To form the next compliant citizenry, we will either submit to that or begin to organize ourselves, because the crux is coming, getting 803 likes. Sober Sight says, I know of at least 11 million illegals that should certainly be registered to pay their dues, getting 227 likes. Let's see. Going down more and more. 10 Toes says, what about the women? Whatever happened to equality? I don't know what that flag is. Getting 834 likes. The flag looks like it's white with two black stripes. Oh, equality. Oh, missed that one. Been a couple years since I've done basic mathematics, apparently. Michael Breton says, this can't be serious. Someone please tell me this isn't serious. Getting 295 likes. Darren says, this person speaking is the reason why military can't make recruitment numbers, which getting 514 likes. Now, fact check on that, or I guess disclaimer. Yes, every U.S. military branch has failed to meet the recruitment, despite making it easier and lowering every standard they could possibly think of. However, with the exception of the United States Marines, they do consistently hit their recruitment numbers. I suspect partially because it's been less politicized, and also they have a long history and heritage. And I also argue they're much more effective at marketing than the other branches. And again, it's all about very similar how other products and services that are limited are more desirable. Their whole mantra is, the few, the proud, the brave, the Marines, where, not to be pejorative, but I've heard jokes about the Army where it's a great place to lose weight. And there's much more supportive roles in terms of combat roles because it's an entire logistics. I mean, there are many more roles that people don't, I think, correlate. Roles that are not as physically demanding in the Army, which many people see the physical fit importance being one of the paramount things in the military. That's kind of my theory when it comes to this fascinating statistic on how every single branch, except the Marines, failed to hit the recruitment goals, which again, they lower the requirements every single year. Now you also have NJ Rich getting they get the award for a good book reference of the day, saying Never Ending War right out of 1984. It also rhymes, so that's a double cool. I got 415 likes, and yet another daily reminder to read George Orwell's brilliant works of art known as 1984, great book, as well as Animal Farm. Animal Farm being much more short, less pages, more kid appropriate. Again, they're not happy books by any means. They're quite dark and depressing, quite concerning, especially when you consider how many areas of culture today and politics today mirror or are actually worse than parts in the book. Let's just say I wish there were a lot more libertarian-minded people in the government and people that love small government. I digress, though. Scrolling down more and more. Meme Coin says my son's identify as non-draftable body males, getting 790 likes. Let's see. Magnus Manus says it's hard to believe the most prestigious military in the world isn't anymore.
I'm going to focus a little bit more today on my story, and that
training a man into perfect physical
Times have
condition
changed.
is not the only concern of a good Army commander. An equally important consideration is the psychological preparation for a soldier about to go into battle.
And that of transgender service members, and how and why that.
The U.S. Department of Air Force, the first of the future, why inclusion matters. Colonel Bree Fram, United States Space Force.
Fits into the picture of why inclusion matters. Why does it matter to us?
Yeah, 302 likes. It's also quite sad when you see public schools. You see all the old videos and how, back in the day, the recess and gyms, they're almost like, compared now, it looks like they look like military experts back in the day. They were all great in shape, and they were climbing walls. I forget the specific exercise where you have the two wooden pegs and you climb up a wall. I mean, people used to be way back in shape, both mentally and physically in the United States. It is sad how far the ball has fallen. Or dropped, whatever metaphor you prefer. So not a lot of agreements. Let's see here. Not a lot of contrarian statements who are, a fan of the military doing this. And again, it's one of the things where you already have to do it. You're just signing it out. So perhaps just removing that from the equation. And it will be interesting to see. We've seen the pendulum swing back, back and forth culturally and politically in the United States. I mean, I would say past 50, 60, 70 years. In terms of public support for wars and interventionism, which I was going to say, if you could click that subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. I know sometimes I can't pronounce things, and truth be told, I stutter and speak too fast. And believe it or not, when I first started the show, very few subscribers, and I spoke even faster, even had some monotone, and I also stumbled over my words even more. Now, granted, some might say it's just been a modicum of improvement. However, as I've gained more subscribers, I've become more articulate in my speech, and there's been some improvement. So I have a theory. If you could click that button, I'd really appreciate it. It might very well make the show even better. Time, of course, shall tell. It'll be interesting. Let me know, anecdotally speaking, are a lot of your friends concerned with the new update? Do you think they would be supportive of a draft if one to come up, especially if it were on foreign soil? Let me know in the comments, because as always, I would be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news and good news, bump stocks are now legal thanks to the United States Supreme Court in a ruling of 6-3. Thanks to those who believe in the Constitution, which is a rare thing. Never forget, there's someone on the Supreme Court who was elected because Biden said he was voting for, or he's going to vote for someone who is a black woman. He didn't say he was a top qualified. He said, oh yeah, we're going to pick based on this, which is technically illegal. So, and she also, when she is being questioned, she could not define what a woman is. There's someone on the United States Supreme Court that does not know what a woman is. Let that sink in for a second there. Now, one of the biggest detriments to Trump's legacy, in my opinion, especially from a libertarian and someone who appreciates firearms and the Bill of Rights, was he wrote an executive order to ban bump stocks, which, again, mechanically speaking, does not change the firearm into the legal definition of a machine gun. And again, goes down that slippery slope of having guns being reclassified and potentially making not 100,000, but I think it was estimated to have 20 to 30,000 bump stocks in the United States. And all it does is let you use the momentum of the firearm to increase the speed of rate of fire. You're still pulling the trigger every single time it works. Rudimentarily speaking, you have an additional piece of plastic molded into the stock, which slides back and forth. You rest your finger there. You have to push the forward. You have to use your right hand, or I guess I'm left-handed, so I would use my right hand to pull the firearm forward by the foregrip, and momentum would go back and forth as your finger rested on the piece of plastic. And as it go back and forth, your finger would also hit the trigger and it would bump back and forth. The same mechanical effect happens when you use a belt loop if you wear jeans, as most men do, and you just do it from the hip. So this technology, or this methodology, has been around for years. And unfortunately, after one of the massacres, which, again, not to go down the conspiracy rabbit hole, but the fire rate of the Las Vegas shooter is much higher than a standard AR-15 that would be used for bump fire. And we'll go down that rabbit hole another day, perhaps. Let me know if you would like me to. But there is a lot of public support to ban them, even though, again, they are not machine guns. Legally speaking, machine gun is you hold down the trigger and you get more than one fire of the firearm. That's why even 3-round burst, legally speaking, is considered a machine gun under the U.S. law. Now, ironically, the NRA said, "Oh yeah, this is great. We have our bump stocks back," which the NRA is almost as disappointing as the GOP, where again they used to do great things. They used to stand for principle thing, stand for their, do stuff, and yeah, more and more they've done nothing. The NRA, moronically, supported Trump's bump stock ban, which the NRA, again, I appreciate the safety they do in terms of education, firearm safety. That's important. I think they should do even more of that, especially with the Eddie Eagle program, which used to be much more popular for public schools. Of course, I digress. I just want to say there are some good people that work at the NRA. However, a lot of people, like when they call me and they ask me for more money, I'd always say no. Is Wayne LaPierre? Is Wayne LaPierre still there? Then no, because he was one of the people, one of the snakes who just really didn't get as much gun rights back. Now, it was ironic, and of course, their ratio down next Twitter. NRA says, quote, "The U.S. Supreme Court invalidates ATF rule classifying bump stocks as machine guns. It says, Supreme Court victory. Majority rules ATF exceeded its authority." Because again, the ATF isn't supposed to make new laws, and it's perverse that they actually keep reinterpreting them to make millions of people felons overnight. They went pretty viral. Well, not really for the NRA. Got 51,000 views, but only 496 likes. Because, again, the NRA supported this ban, which, again, if you're supposed to be about firearm rights, you wouldn't support any firearm ban, to say the least. Now, some of the top comments, Crimson Blow says, "I am what lefties despise," saying, quote, "You supported the bump stock ban in the first place. Now you're going to pretend you're happy and it's a win for you? That's why your membership is plummeting. You're worthless." That got 113 likes. And Donating Propus says, "You support this ban. One of the major reasons I'm no longer a member," getting 106 likes. Going down more and more. Alexa C. Rivera says, "No thanks to you. Thanks to #gun policy," which the Firearms Policy Coalition is a great, I believe there's also a nonprofit organization, same with Gun Owners of America. Those two organizations have done great things for firearms rights and continue to fight for our rights, which is one of the reasons why the arm brace is now legal, because of thanks to their work, which I'll probably cover that subsequently tomorrow. And yeah, it's one of those things where the NRA, they need a turnaround plan, to say the least. They did get rid of William LaPierre, finally. Lincoln says, your organization supported the ban, getting 65 likes. Here's a good one. Agist Nexus, and it's a picture of Chris Farley and another famous comedian. It loses me at the moment. Oh geez, this is embarrassing. Adam. Wow, shows how much I know about pop culture, so to say. Who's in Happy Gilmore? Who was that? He's worth billions. No, not billions. What is he? Sometimes you have those on-camera brain farts. You're like, wait a minute, I know. Or maybe I don't. What is this? Kind of like a couple days ago, I forgot Jim Carrey's name. Which, I think I've only seen one or two of his movies, to be honest. He's hilarious. I do like this comedian. Chris Farley, of course, is awesome. Who's this one again? Gilmore, Chris McDowell. Norm McDowell's in that movie. That was great. Adam Sandler, that's what it is. I think it was Adam something, which, again, is one of those fascinating things where sometimes you're on camera like, oh, the pressure. Granted, it's not a live stream yet. But nevertheless, you have Chris Farley looking at a gentleman over there. And He said, it's NRA's Chris Farley. He says, I was against bump stock bans. And yeah, he's like, no, you weren't. Going down more and more. Let's see. Against Nexus has a screenshot of NPR from 2017. It's titled NRA backs regulation of bump stocks as some Republicans support a ban. Get 34 likes, which the reason Republicans are so disappointing, the rhinos are everywhere. Pejoratively known as Republicans in name only, where, yeah, they say they stand for conservative values and beliefs and the Bill of Rights and all that kind of stuff, but many of them acquiesce to just vote with Democrats, which, again, I don't like false advertising. At least Democrats, they usually don't do that. You get what you vote for in that case. In this case, you got to do a lot of research when you're voting for Republicans, because depending on their track record, they might have an R next to their name, but their track record might be the antithesis of that. Now, it's fascinating that everyone, let's see here. They have the traditional cliche, was it the FUD, the cliche boomer gun and firearms enthusiast, or I should say, there's always that, it's not some, and again, it's not all old folks, this is a pejorative stereotype in the firearm community, where, yeah, the FUDs were like, well, no one, all they do is they go hunting with a 12-gauge shotgun pump action, and they use a bolt-action rifle for deer hunting, something like that. Those are the kind of people who say, why do you need an AR-15? But you should simply say, because I'm an American. Well, more accurately, you say, actually, more than that firearmament because the government has that, and that's what the Second Amendment was all about. Now, this meme set by the Desert Tactical Solution says, those bump stocks I wanted to ban? I'm so glad the Supreme Court ruled against the ban. 29 likes. This might be. Wow. They got the Chris Christie effect, my friends. It's weird. Let's see how many comments are the total. I think 170 comments. And they're all just saying, you guys did this. They're all just calling him out. Oh, no, we do have one moderate. One that's not pejorative. Okay, it's not as bad as Chris Christie. The Chris Christie effect is a fascinating phenomenon in social media, which we had 2 times when he was running for the Republican nominee, in which he said something, and he had 0 positive responses to the comments, which, he technically has family, friends, and allegedly a campaign staff at the time, and yet they couldn't give him 1 positive comment or response. They have it twice. Now, this isn't as bad as that. You have an individual by the name of Michael104, who says, abolish the ATF, getting 7 likes. So, one of the saddest parts about this, though, and Trump banning this, is that, well, it was a veteran-owned business. The most popular bump stock manufacturer who had the patent for it was a gentleman headquartered out of Moran, Texas, and I believe it was Jeremiah Colwell, and he actually founded the company. He has a patent for it. He was quite literally on food stamps. He went from rags to riches because of that idea. He employed a little over 100 local folks in the town, including his grandparents, and the company is known as Slide Fire Solutions. Great. And of course, it's made in the USA. It's high polymer plastic. And it was great. A lot of people loved the product. It was sold darn near everywhere. And again, most Americans, unfortunately, because of the tyrannical ATF, well, a machine gun that is legally transferable, it's called a transferable machine gun. It had to be 1, it had to be manufactured before 1986, and 2, it had to be registered with the U.S. government prior to that date. If it meets those 2 requirements and your state allows private machine gun ownership, you can purchase it with a NFA, it's treated as a National Firearms Act of 1934 item, which means you have to pay a $200 tax stamp. Disgusting and unconstitutional. That was not adjusted for inflation when that was set in 1934. You also have to take fingerprints taken, as well as a passport picture taken. They treat you like a criminal. And then you also have extra burdensome paperwork. Now that means, because again, the very limited supply of guns that were manufactured and registered prior to 1986, which again was disappointingly signed by Reagan, and it's one of those issues where a standard AR-15 at the store, if you and I go to the store, you can get a good semi-automatic for about $1,000. If you want a transferable one, that's going to run you anywhere from $30,000 to $150,000 because of the very limited supply. The bump fire, and again, it did not mechanically change the gun to a machine gun. They finally vindicated this in the Supreme Court. It did increase your rate of fire, and it's also just awkward, the gun going back and forth. But in that case, I believe those were under $300. So it was a great value for the money. That allowed the average American to achieve more firepower, and I would argue just give them more access to their God-given right. And that's why it was quite literally a multi-million-dollar idea, and it exploded in popularity. And unfortunately, now that technology in terms of the fire community has advanced so much since then, the biggest trend nowadays, and I believe is that Fostech licensed it. However, the original patent holder is Franklin Armory for the binary trigger, in which when you pull the trigger, the gun goes off, it fires, and when you release the trigger, the firearm goes off again. hence the term binary trigger, which, again, right now, depending on your state, on a federal level, the ATF has signed off on it, saying that it's legally meeting the requirement of a semi-automatic rifle from the legal definition. And now that's the most popular technology people are using to increase the rate of fire for their firearms, not to be redundant in the vernacular. And those do run you about, let's see, what do they go for? They're always at the gun store. They're, again, for me, they're pretty expensive. In terms of a machine gun, it's a bargain. But they usually run about $400 to $500. I think the cheapest by Franklin Arm, maybe $350, maybe it's the cheapest one you can get. Which, again, is a lot more affordable than a transferable machine gun. It's still a lot of money. But that one, you don't have the firearm pulling back everything forward. So you would many people argue it's much more controllable and you're more accurate with it. So even though the Supreme Court has now ruled, yes, this is constitutional, if you have a bump stock, you don't have to worry about becoming a felon and, again, being treated as if you broke the 1934 NFA Act, which, again, that's a big issue. If you don't do the proper paperwork and you just turn a firearm from semi-auto to full auto, which, again, with proper paperwork, owning a business with the SOT tax, you can do. However, if you don't do the proper paperwork and do it illegally, it's a 10-year, $250,000 fine, which is why, again, never do it. Not legal advice. Not libertarian advice, obviously. But it's one of the things where that's why this, unless you're a criminal in Chicago, then they won't charge you at all, apparently. But nevertheless, that's why these technologies are so important. And unfortunately, I don't see the bump stocks coming back to the free market. I think they've been supplanted by that, unless you can get that price point down to like 50 to 60 bucks, which, again, is plastic injection mold with enough quantity, you might be able to drive down that price point. But again, it's already too late. The business is gone. People lost their jobs. And it's heartbreaking that, again, this guy's quite literally on food stamps to building a successful business. And manufacturing, even a rare thing in the United States. So let me know, do you think the bump stocks will actually come back in terms, and it's fascinatingly hilarious how on websites like Gunbroker, which is like eBay for firearms, which, again, you can buy a firearm online, it just has to be shipped to an FFL dealer, and then they do the background check for you. But all of a sudden, as soon as this ruling came, there were bump stocks all over that website because, again, I don't think any of the owners actually threw them away. A lot of them would just say, oh yeah, I fell off the fishing boat when I was at the lake last week. What a shame. So it'll be interesting to see if that firearm technology comes back to the market, or if just the used ones that are all just hiding in people's crawl spaces and stuff, if they are just seen more at gun stores and gun ranges. But let me know in the comments, because as always, I would be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Tyson Foods CFO arrested, getting a DWI, and they now suspend him. Which, again, is the downside of having some people who might feel entitled. Kind of spoiler alert, it is a family member of the founder of the company. Now, Tyson Foods is perhaps the best well-known poultry manufacturer or farmer, whatever you prefer, in the United States. They're one of the largest and most well-established ones. Now, this is thanks to 4029 News, which they specifically say, quote, Tyson CFO John Tyson arrested for DWI and careless driving. And it looks like he was arrested by University of Arkansas police. Let's see here. Did they actually wake him up in bed? I think that's happened before. Oh, there's a good picture of him. No, random. Very short article. Now they say, quote, John Tyson, CFO of Tyson Foods, was arrested Thursday with charges of DWI and careless driving. Under the arrest, Tyson Foods says he's suspended from his position. Booking information from the Washington County Detention Center shows Tyson was arrested at 1:32 Thursday morning, released 9 hours later at 10:41 a.m. The report from the University of Arkansas Police Department said he was stopped around at 1 a.m. after police saw him speeding, making an improper turn, and driving off the road and on the curb and the grass. Police say he smelled of alcohol and failed a field sobriety test. Tyson told police he drank 5 to 7 beers. Tyson was arrested and taken to the county detention center. He consented to a chemical test that showed a BAC of 0.191. Again, in the United States, the legal rate with most every state is 0.08. Yeah, so that's not to be a math wizard, but that's about double. Actually, more than that. It says he's set to appear on court July 15. Wow. Now, the official statement from Tyson Foods is, quote, we are aware of John Randall Tyson, Chief Financial Officer of Tyson Foods, was arrested for an alleged DWI. Tyson Foods has suspended Mr. Tyson from his duties effective immediately and named Kurt Calories as interim CFO. Now, looks like they say that John Tyson is a fourth-generation family member of the Tyson family. It was hired by the Tyson Company in 2019. He also has some previous arrests. They say this is not the first time Tyson was arrested in Fayetteville. He pled guilty to 2 misdemeanor charges in Fayetteville District Court last year. A college-aged woman found a strange man sleeping in her bed when she came home early one morning in November 2022. She called the police. The man was identified as Tyson and was arrested and brought to jail. He apologized to investors on a call after the arrest, saying he was committed to making sure it never happens again. Which, I believe, again, there's this, it loses me at the moment. Yeah, John Randall Tyson. Yeah, it's one of those things where, again, it doesn't happen every time. It depends. Obviously, depends on a myriad of variables, including, how did you raise a child? Did they kind of see how they had a high propensity of most likely to just be shooting into a high level position at the company? Did they work at the company just sweeping floors and working their way up the corporate ladder? One of those things where when you have family involved, there's a lot of instances where it's a great success. You have the Ford family still controlling the Ford Motor Company, and that company's, even though I don't agree with all the things they do, they've done fairly well throughout the years. And then you have some instances like this where, again, this is a multi-violation, and again, he's suspended at work, but this isn't the first time this has happened. And again, he's the CFO. Again, that is one of the highest positions in the company, and it's also especially paramount because, again, finances and those financial documents are all very regulated and very much evaluated, and you have to be on your game, so to say, in that role. And the fact that they keep having this issue time and time again, maybe, I don't know if it might be a good ego bruiser, or maybe force him to grow up a little bit by giving him a couple demotions. I'm not sure what the solution is here. Again, a lot of people have issues with alcohol. It is a heartbreaking situation, and again, with proper investments, and you have to want to change. I know there's a path. I know many people who have deviated from a healthy lifestyle and healthy path, and they've gotten things back on track. And in this case, this just keeps happening to this. And again, it makes Tyson Foods look terrible. I kind of a little curious about what do they look like fiscally speaking in terms of their financial performance. What's their, let me pull this up really quick. I mean, the stock is still doing just, not great. I mean, last week it went down around 3.54%. Past month it's down 11.42%. Overall, year to date, not terrible. It's only down 2.81%, currently trading at $53.97 per share. So I don't think it doesn't even look like they pay dividends. That's a little disappointing. Not that I do financial advice here. So, past 1 year, they're up 10.86%. 5-year trend, they're down 28%. And then, of course, max all time, they're up 246%. Actually, isn't that good for many historical companies. But nevertheless, they're not doing great in the stock market. And again, a lot of those shareholders, I'm not sure how much longer they'll tolerate this. It will be interesting to see what happens in terms of acceptance, or what will the board of directors do. Again, there's maybe some family conflict there. Again, having someone who's the CFO of the company having the same issue time and time again, and again, I understand they recently suspended him, but again, that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, giving me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.